Panel, thank you for your thoughts and your representations today. My constituency in Stratford and Bow has a rich history. I'm sad that the Honourable Member for Mid Buckinghamshire isn't here at the moment to listen to this part. We are rooted in the fights for working people, rooted in the fight for the rights for working people. It's the site of the 1888 London Bryant and May strike, better known as the Matchgirls Strike. Paul, 136 years ago, Sarah Chapman was first elected as the TUC rep from the then formed Matchmakers Union. She fought ardently for women's rights, and she made great representations at the TUC for women's rights. But it's been 136 years, and there's still much more to do for women in the workplace. I'm really pleased to see that the TUC has said that Labour's Employment Rights Bill is so vital for women's pay and equality. I'm really keen to hear your thoughts on why you think this is and the reflections from the panel.
Well, it'll be good to hear from colleagues from Unison Unite who directly represent hundreds of thousands of women at work. We know, for example, that women are more likely to be employed on 0 hours contracts. We know they're more likely to be in low-paid occupations. I think things like the fair pay agreements and social care could have a transformative impact on the lives of hundreds of thousands of women who go out to work. That's alongside all of the other provisions in the bill, for example, the presumption around flexible working, which will allow people to balance work and family life, but also crucially allow us to bring people back into the labour into the labour market who at the moment are struggling to find work that suits caring and other responsibilities. And I think there is a whole range of provisions in the bill that have a direct positive impact on women at work and direct impact on those sectors that we know low-paid, insecure employment is most concentrated in retail, in social care, in hospitality.
Thank you, and thank you for your question. So I represent Unison. We're 80% women, and I think I said at the very beginning about the significant difference this bill will make. But I'll just give you some examples. So Paul touched on flexible working. This bill, you could sum it up in lots of different ways, but it is going to make such a difference to carers who care for a profession, but also carers who have caring responsibilities outside, most of whom are predominantly women. The other area, I won't touch on the fair pay agreement because Paul has, but the other area is the reinstatement of the SSSMB for school support staff. Again, majority women, majority working part-time. It will be transformative for those workers to have a set standard terms and conditions, opportunities of training, salary, and not have to take part-time jobs outside of their schoolwork to be able to make ends meet. That will be the transformation for women.
And we've been fortunate in Scotland, not completely fortunate, to get a little bit of a head start with respect to some of the discussion, particularly about low-paid care workers. And we've got a very, very strong developing consensus that care workers' voices and women's voices in the collective bargaining arena is something that we want to develop in Scotland. It's something that I think the bill may just have to address for Scotland because it's one of those situations where, because of the devolved nature of the delivery of care, there may be powers that we need to invest in the in the Scottish Government rather than the Secretary of State. That's something that we would intend to submit to the committee on. But I think that we've got really, really good early indications that a living wage in care for care workers, the full involvement of unionised care workers in the delivery and the shaping of their service can pay enormous dividends. We're a long way from getting it right in Scotland, but I think we've got a good start there, which I hope that some of the legislation here will reflect on too.
And just very briefly to say I fully endorse what colleagues have said. I'm not going to repeat it so as not to take the committee's time, but also to recognise that many women part of trade unions because they want their voices heard and they want to be able to address issues such as inequality, such as bullying, such as pay discrimination in the workplace. And the introduction of equality reps' rights will provide an important focus to say that equality must be at the heart of the agenda, negotiating agenda within workplaces. But we also recognise alongside that there are improvements to parental rights which help to ensure there's fairer share of parental responsibility responsibilities in the home, and also a recognition, we've already talked about a lot of zero-hours contract workers being women. One of the things that we're very aware of in hospitality, that too often employers bring in too many workers for shifts and say, sorry, we don't need you anymore, go home, cancel shift without any compensation for the workers, for their travel time, for their costs, for their childcare. We hope the bill will help to address some of those concerns.